if you open the article and you see what he said was his reasoning, he wanted to provide more opportunities for WNBA players and provide opportunities to not go overseas. So you offered the contract to a player who's not yet even in the WNBA. Big Three does not happen during overseas season, so that doesn't make sense.
That's true.
And then you pretty much offended all of the European countries that open their doors to us, give us a lot of money, a lot of love, and a lot of experience by calling them dismal and dubious. And there are some very beautiful countries that we have the opportunity to go play in. So, I mean, if you're gonna say that it's for that, then stand on that. But I don't think it's, I think he's trying to make a business decision, which he's a businessman, that makes sense. But to mask it in this, I want to uplift and support WNBA players and women athletes is kind of a cop-out, I think, and I don't think it really makes any sense.
The shocking $5 million offer made by Big Three Basketball League founder Ice Cube to elite NCAA player Caitlin Clark set off a frenzy of responses throughout the basketball community. This wasn't just any offer. It was a turning point that highlighted the clear facts of gender inequalities in sports. Prominent Los Angeles Sparks player Lexie Brown became the voice of many who felt the scope of this offer exposed ongoing disparities between male and female athletes. Who is precisely Caitlin Clark then? And why is she at the heart of this debate? Not just another NCAA athlete, Clark is a generational talent destined for greatness and likely to be the first choice in the forthcoming WNBA draft. The offer came when Clark was still proving her mettle in the NCAA tournament, therefore adding layers of controversy to the suggestion. Given its timing, many interpreted Ice Cube's action as an attempt to profit on her popularity and potential. However, among the thrills, the offer also exposed fundamental conflicts concerning the financial environment for female athletes. Examining the larger background, the salary differences in professional basketball will help us to really see why this offer was both interesting and contentious. Just over $80,000 in the WNBA, Lexie Brown considered the $5 million offer as a significant comment on the lack of financial respect for women in sports. Turning to social media, Brown's comments questioned Ice Cube's motivations and mocked the lack of support for current women's leagues, therefore expressing a strong mix of rage and humor. Her tweet, "So no other women's basketball players come to mind in the last 7 years," connected with a local community. Instead of "I don't know, let's promote the women's league that already exists," right in the middle of the NCAA tournament. Men find great humor in things. Brown's keen insights went beyond mere reflections of many others' feelings. They exposed the inadequate pay and treatment female athletes get compared to their male colleagues, therefore unmasking the systemic problems of gender discrimination that have long dogged professional sports. Ice Cube said his goals were to elevate women's sports, but his approach was seen as an indirect undermining of years of activism by women's athletes for equitable pay and support. Let's pair the numbers to highlight the differences. Although Caitlin Clark's first WNBA pay is probably about $76,000, elite NBA draft picks begin their careers with multi-million-dollar contracts. For just 10 games, Ice Cube's outrageous $5 million offer to Clark is a striking reminder of the vast financial disparity separating female athletes today. Lexie Brown was not alone herself. Her tweets spurred a larger discussion with comments from other WNBA stars, including Chiney Ogwumike, Chelsea Plum, and A'ja Wilson, who underlined that helping existing women's leagues should take the stage. They underlined the efforts players have made to create the WNBA and the importance of ongoing league development investment. Furthermore, under examination became the logistics of accepting such an offer. The WNBA season runs alongside the Big Three season and begs issues regarding Clark's viability in both. Although Ice Cube's approach undoubtedly raised awareness of women's basketball, many contended that long-term development and recognition depends on more consistent and institutional backing. Still, the discussion prompted by the offer went beyond mere criticism. It was also a call to action, stressing the WNBA's structural possibilities for improvement, including the necessity of improved player support and higher pay. The conversation focused on the need of unity among female athletes, therefore motivating a coordinated effort to advocate recognition and change. Let's also consider the possibilities this debate might have unintentionally brought to light, given the financial reality shown here. Though controversial, Ice Cube's offer attracted a lot of media attention, therefore increasing the profile of women's basketball. If used wisely, this focus might bring more well-known prospects and sports-related funding. There is a drawback. though, the possibility of dividing women's basketball as players weigh more profitable choices outside the WNBA. The worry that a flood of offers from other leagues could split the scene of women's basketball looms big. This emphasizes how urgently the WNBA needs to increase its initiatives to offer competitive pay and opportunities under its purview. The relentless advocacy of Lexie Brown acts as a rallying call for women's athletes in many fields. Her appeal for help goes beyond mere requests for a pay raise to include a plea for societal change honoring women's athletic achievements. The larger basketball community started to view this as an opportunity for contemplation and action towards gender equality in athletics as the story progressed, not only as a one-off offer. Following this speech, the need for solidarity among women athletes became clearer than it had ever been. Along with her colleagues, Lexie Brown saw this and seized the opportunity to lobby for more support and resources to strengthen women's leagues and guarantee their survival. Examining the larger terrain of women's sports, it is clear that issues with salary disparity and visibility goes beyond basketball. Long battled for fair treatment and chances, many female athletes in many sports have. The differences in pay between male and female athletes draw the attention to a structural problem stemming from ingrained standards and historical prejudice. Just look at how usually men's sports benefits from broadcast and sponsor partnerships. Media outlets and sponsors still frequently lag in giving equal exposure and investment, even with increasing viewership and interest in women's sports. Though the trend is sluggish, record viewership figures in women's college basketball and the WNBA over the past few years indicate this is gradually improving. Change has come about from mostly grassroots movements and campaigning. Athletes like Lexie Brown use social media platforms to spread their message. Equal pay campaigns and investments in women's sports are gathering steam and forcing companies, brands, and supporters to reevaluate and reinterpret their involvement plans. Think about how narrative might help to alter impressions. Players like Caitlin Clark and WNBA veterans offer gripping stories of tenacity, talent, and fortitude. By using these narratives, the audience can develop emotional ties and a growing basis of respect and support. Features on female athletes, interviews, and documentaries expose their paths, role modeling, and practical influence on their physical ability. Actually, effective sports leagues have always flourished in developing relationships with supporters by means of relevant narratives and interesting advertising campaigns. The WNBA has advanced in this area by highlighting the many lives of its players, not only as athletes, but also as leaders, activists, and members of communities. This complete portrayal promotes a more inclusive sports climate. Looking ahead, both present and aspirational participants in women's sports should investigate prospects. Women's leagues can flourish by means of strategic alliances, support of grassroots projects, and creative marketing campaigns. Companies working with female athletes should concentrate on real events that represent their values and target market expectations. Moreover, internet channels offer a hitherto unheard of chance to worldwide promotion of women's sports. Streaming services, social media, and digital content creation democratizes access and helps sports organizations reach varied and large audiences. Women's sports may engage fans everywhere by optimizing these methods, therefore transcending regional and cultural limitations. Crucially, sportsmen have to work together to question current systems and support institutional-level policy changes. Gender equality in sports programming, financial distribution, and policy formulation must first take the front stage for governing organizations. Systemic transformation can be facilitated by initiatives to resolve wage discrepancies, upgrade infrastructure, and provide equal access to resources. Changing society's perception of women's sports also depends critically on activism and education. The community can produce a new generation that values inclusivity and justice as basic values by teaching young athletes, coaches, and supporters about the value and influence of gender parity in sports. Deeper into the future of women's basketball, cooperation among athletes, leagues, media, business partners, and supporters becomes absolutely vital. The attempt to improve women's sports should be a group one, coordinating efforts towards equality and recognition. In this larger sense, Ice Cube's offer to Caitlin Clark marks a turning point that emphasizes the prospects as well as the difficulties in women's sports. It emphasizes the need to consider present systems and fuels the movement for development whereby players are fairly compensated for their abilities and contributions. In women's sports, the road toward equality is ultimately continuous and calls for both constant dedication and teamwork. By means of her activism, Lexie Brown marks a turning point and exhorts all those engaged in the sports industry to hasten towards a day when equity, respect, and acknowledgement are not dreams, but reality. Finally, as women's basketball keeps its amazing development, it promises a better, fairer horizon. Within this field, the athletes, leaders, and supporters will keep advocating this cause to make sure the momentum created now opens the path for success tomorrow. The conversation generated by this debate is more than just a call to action. It is evidence of women's sports' ability to inspire the next generations and change the international scene.